Hello everybody and welcome to today's webinar. This is assignment 2 and part 2. So we're going to be focusing on the last few sections of that particular assignment, starting with the channel section, moving on into the action plan, and then going on into measurement, budgets, etc. And then we'll also have a Q&A at the end, and we'll also touch upon referencing correctly for this assignment as well. I'd like to just make sure that I'm coming through okay in terms of my audio and visual camera. So if you guys wouldn't mind messaging me in the questions tab, which you should have available to you on your screen, and if you could just let me know that I'm coming through okay, we can start today's webinar. Okay, nobody has actually confirmed that they can hear me. Oh, 100%, thank you for that, that's great news. All right, guys, so as I mentioned there, we're going to kind of conduct a webinar focused on the last few sections of assignment 2, starting in the channels area. If anyone's just kind of come in here and wants to refresh on assignment 2, I just always have to do this at the start of each webinar. Not forgetting that this assignment is a 5,000 word assignment, okay? And the purpose of this assignment is to build on the insights gained in the first assignment and produce that digital marketing strategy, okay, implementation plan, and then ongoing management of that plan with your organization that you've selected for assignment 1 and assignment 2 as well. But let's get right into it, because this is a very substantial part of assignment 2, the channel section, and that's why it's a great place to actually begin a webinar on, because it really is very important, not only to develop the channels for your strategy, but it also plays into a lot of the other sections of the assignment as well. And it's worth 30%. And as you can see, there's over 1,500 words need to be dedicated to this section. So it really is a substantial amount that's needed. So in this section, you will need to select 4 to 5 different digital marketing channels, all right? And you're going to need to show how you're going to use them and justify why you've selected those channels. So the justification of these channels should really be based on the available budgets and resources of your company, and it should also be based on the objectives that you've previously set out in the previous section, and also on the identified aspects of your target audience, which you would have formulated your target personas from. So when you're looking at the what's the best channels to use to not only reach your target audience and your target objectives, but also what can be used in terms of the available resources, as I said, and available budgets that your company has given you. So justification of what channels to select based on the target audience and the objectives, and then the tactical deployment of these channels as well. We'll go into some insights on tactical deployment in a moment. But pick the best ones for your company to achieve those objectives, as I said, and create a robust plan of those several channels. All right, so not just focus on 1 or 2 channels. You're going to select 4 to 5, and you're going to use, well, you should use, it's quite important, an integrated marketing communications approach. Now, an integrated marketing communications approach, in layman's terms, really means to create synergy between your channels. Okay, so that's a consistent message, a consistent branding approach, and then also the cross-functional capabilities of each channel as well. So if we were to bring in, and for the purposes of the channel section, you will be selecting 4 or 5 digital marketing channels. Of course, it's a digital marketing strategy assignment. But if your company already has traditional marketing channels in place, you can bring them into your IMC approach. And an example of that would actually be if somebody had a advertisement in a printed article, they may have a link to the Facebook or social media pages. They'd also have a link to the website. The same could also be said if you were maybe bringing in content marketing as an aspect of that. If you were using traditional marketing aspects, maybe as a trade show, as something that gets uploaded onto social media in terms of content creation, or even just showcasing how you're going to reach this company. You'll see a lot of the time companies that might not have an e-commerce a tangible commerce unit available. They might have a traditional approach where they showcase products and stuff at trade shows, products or services, and then to actually go ahead with the overall purchase, you will need to go onto the website. So it's about that synergy of branding and also a consistent flow of tactics regarding all the different channels that you select. So you'll develop your digital channels. If you have traditional channels that the company or organization is using, you can bring them in as well and amplify the digital channels with them. But for the purposes of this section, it's 4 to 5 digital channels that you're going to justify the selection on, and then tactically showcase how you're going to deploy them in regards to your target audience and objectives. So you want to show as well how that budget and channels are going to align with each other, okay? And show how you're going to communicate with the target audience as well. Now, this is, I'm going to give some examples here because obviously in the next slide I have provide examples and screenshots. You'll need to provide at least one screenshot for each channel that you select. So I'm just going to run through a couple of examples here that might help. So I've got kind of selected some channels. Obviously I know different students are using different industries, different channels, different budgets, and different marketing resources. So hopefully these channels are kind of cross-functional in some respects. If we were to take Google Search and Display as one of our channels that we would have previously identified from maybe our target personas are frequently using Google Search and Display, and also it is something that our objectives have stated that we want to increase possibly lead generation or overall sales conversions. We go with Google Search and Ads. That's what the research that we've done and conducted has shown us. We'd want to show firstly, how we're going to reach that target audience. So that would be going into, and you could use Google, you could actually use the Google Sandbox accounts to showcase this in a screenshot if you wish. But you could go in and you would set up the search or display ad, or both perhaps depending on your research, of the demographics that you hope to reach. Also then the ad descriptions, the URLs that you're going to send to those people that when it becomes live on a search engine optimization or search engine results page. You'll see the description, you'll see the URL that's going to take the potential user to your website or what page of that website, and then not forgetting, of course, the keywords that are going to be used to retrieve this actual search ad, and the demographics, location, and then the overall budget as well. It's going to go into that channel. All right, just as an example, you would also perhaps want to show the aesthetics of the ad as well when it's live on a search engine optimization page. Okay, our search engine results page. So that's, while you only need to take one screenshot, you can obviously have more in your appendices and then refer back to them to provide more clarity on the deployment and creation of the digital channel. Perhaps you're just innovating an existing channel your company is operating on, or you want to create a new channel, deploy it, and then also maintain it. Maintaining is obviously quite important as well. As another example, we could look at email marketing. And we could look at developing a email marketing monthly newsletter, and this might be along an objective of customer retention, maybe not customer awareness, but maybe customer retention. And we could suggest that by sending out maybe a monthly newsletter to notify our existing customer base of new products or potentially new updates in our services. That might increase repeat purchasing, or even just increasing engagement with that overall consumer base. And how would we showcase this? Well, if we were using MailChimp, for example, as one of our email marketing platforms, we would firstly want to showcase the flow setup of the email. Essentially the smart methods of the email. It's going to go out monthly. It's going to go out to this existing customer base. Based on the timing of our scheduling of reaching our target audience. And then we want to showcase as well the aesthetics of the email itself. So we want to showcase what the email actually looks like, the click-throughs that are going to be available to reach people on our website, etc. Finally, let's just run with another example. If we're running with social media would also follow a very similar attribute of Google Search and Display, where we'd want to showcase paid search advertising based on the demographics, based on the locations, and then obviously the URL links and descriptions of those ads to our necessary website for purchase. And so on and so forth. So you can see there how, tactically showcasing how you're going to use these channels against the available budgets and target audience and stated objectives can be accomplished. But there really is no shortcut answer to this section. Dependent on what channels you've set up, the course content really goes into vast details. So if it's search marketing that you've set up and you want to showcase website optimization and how you're going to improve your website for possibly a user experience, or possibly how to increase these search engine results from an organic basis, you might want to showcase the web pages that you've developed on on the operational side, such as meta tags, meta descriptions, so on and so forth. Maybe you want to increase your search engine results organically by ensuring that the website is updated by using blogs with backlinks as well. And this will be a way of showcasing this. You could showcase an example of a blog with backlinks and how frequently it's going to be updated with an example blog page. Or you could also showcase then some of the aesthetic changes to maybe make the e-commerce side of your website a more friendly and engaging user experience and an easier user experience as well. Okay, so a couple of examples there, a couple of different channels, how to use them, and possibly suggestions on how to innovate them if they're existing or develop them entirely if they're new. We gave the example there of email marketing, and again aligned with your objectives and target audience. So as I said, one screenshot will need to go in the main body of your work per channel here. All right, but you can have then, obviously there's no limitations on your appendices, so you could have other example screenshots that are in your appendices, and you can refer to that content as well if you want to give further insights on how you're going to utilize these channels effectively. Finally, in this section, you need to provide a race model. Now the race model, we have an example in the assignment guidelines of the race model, but in terms of reach, act, conversion, and engage, okay? And it's quite a fundamental screenshot that we've provided, or sorry, framework that we've provided in the assignment handbook. And I would highly recommend looking at that. But just to give a bit more insights into the race model, you will only have to include one race model in this assignment, okay? And it's going to showcase your business objectives against the strategy you're going to use to achieve that objective, and again then putting a key performance indicator on it as well. All right, so some channels may be using different elements of race, and we actually just mentioned one as an example. We mentioned email marketing newsletter, which could be in terms of customer engagement or customer retention and loyalty. So that would obviously go in the E of the race framework, but also email marketing may go in the conversion element of the race model if we had a email that was set up to send out back to a potential customer. We've all used e-commerce sites where we've filled up a shopping basket and then we haven't actually completed the purchase. And maybe you've got a email set up that's smart, that if somebody doesn't complete a purchase within maybe 30 minutes, they get an email saying you haven't completed your purchase, here's your shopping bag, etc. And that could be a way of promoting the conversion from email. But at the same time, we've also used email there as a way of increasing customer engagement, retention, and loyalty through maybe just showcasing a newsletter of updating them on products, etc. So as you can see, each channel will not be exclusive to each element of the race framework, and different channels may go into multiple different areas. Similarly, you can omit certain sections of the race framework if they don't comply with your strategy. So we may have no engagement. I mean, it's entirely possible. You may just be specifically focusing on developing channels where you're looking at reaching customers from maybe affiliate marketing websites through through bloggers, etc., through your social media channels to get them to your e-commerce website to promote transactions, or even through Google search. And then at the same time, ACT could be an ACT is usually predominantly a way of analyzing the kind of acting or engagement of a consumer on your website or on your social channels as well. So, you know, some KPIs to maybe investigate if you're looking at ACT could be session times, you know, it could be bounce rates off the website. It could also be, you know, event tracking. If you've got event tracking set up on your website, what are they clicking on? You know, are they going through to full conversions, etc. All right, and then we mentioned obviously conversion there as the email marketing example. And that could also apply to maybe retargeting with Google Ads as well. If somebody has engaged in a shopping basket and we want to just send them out Google search and display re-advertising, which could be on when they're searching through other websites as well. All right, so it's not exclusive, and you can omit certain stages as well, dependent on your strategy. But one race model is necessary for the purposes of this assignment. It's just one, but it needs to align your objectives with your strategies to achieve those objectives, and then the key performance indicators that are applicable to the certain stage of it. Okay, so we'll move on now to the next section, which is the action plan. Now, the action plan I've got a bit more information on the Gantt chart coming up because I know it's quite a substantial piece as well. But what goes into the action plan, you're going to need to develop a Gantt chart and an editorial calendar in the main body of your work. All right. Now, the Gantt chart, as I'm sure most of you are aware, is quite a substantial piece of content, as is the editorial calendar. So you can include overview versions in your main body of work, all right, with the key tasks and key subtasks that will be needed to showcase the development of either creating certain channels or the maintaining of maybe existing channels as well. All right, but you can then have detailed versions in your appendices if needed. So you can have overview versions that have the key information available, and then you can have much more detailed versions in your appendices. And we advise students to create the Gantt chart and the editorial calendar, and subsequently the budget table, which I'm going to talk about a bit later, and the measurement dashboard in Excel, in Microsoft Excel. And you can have that as a supporting document. You can have an Excel file as a supporting document, which will actually house all the charts and dashboards that you're going to need for the purposes of assignment 2 as well. Okay, so the Gantt chart, let's kind of get into the Gantt chart here, all right? So the Gantt chart is going to show the key milestones in the campaign, who's responsible for what task, okay, and when it's going to be completed as well. Show the resources required, as I said, financial, training, staffing. So if you have a task that might be, let's run with this, affiliate marketing. If you've identified that affiliate marketing is the way to go, it's the channel to use, one of your channels that you need to use to, get involved with completing your objectives and also reaching your target audience and getting conversions from that target audience. You may have nobody in your company who currently has a specialized criteria in affiliate marketing. And in that case, what you'll need to do is have that as one of its a task in itself to upskill somebody potentially with training. Okay, upskilling staff with training. And that task will need to be completed, obviously, before you initiate the development of that affiliate marketing channel then. All right, so you could see how the Gantt chart might have two tasks directly related to affiliate marketing straight away there. We've got one which is upskilling potential employees in affiliate marketing, and then we'd have, when that task is complete, the new task beginning of beginning affiliate marketing on selected websites, etc. All right. At the same time, we also need to have the responsibility of who's going to use these tasks and who's responsible for them. And you want to showcase it in a weekly or monthly manner. All right, so you could have a monthly version in your overview Gantt chart for maybe aesthetic purposes, where it's the overview version. You can then obviously decrease your word count because this version is only monthly, and then you could have in your supporting appendices Excel version, maybe break it down on a weekly basis. All right, to showcase what's going on in the weeks of those particular months. Okay, much more in-depth version. The same with the editorial calendar. You'll need to showcase this in the main body of your work, and you can include an overview version. And then and of course these strategies need to be reflective of 6 to 9 months. All right, so your strategy needs to run from 6 to 9 months. So that's what you're going to have your Gantt chart and your editorial calendar set up as. But the editorial calendar is, and just a good tip on the editorial calendar if you need some more insights on it, Sean Early in the social media marketing stream, which is the second stream, discusses the content calendar in a lot of detail, and it's very, very insightful information on how you can develop one and some of the best practices, how to go about it. And that's in the social media marketing stream, and it's under content creation. Under scheduling, I believe it's in the scheduling topic. So just if you need more insights, it's a good starting point to go in and look at Sean Early's approach to content calendars. And then of course, you should go out there and maybe do some additional research on the best practices to set up content calendars, and reference that information accordingly as well. All right, but I'm going to just run in now to the Gantt chart and give a bit more information on it. So I have provided a template here, which is also on the learning platform, which might be a good starting point for you when you're developing your Gantt chart. All right, so I wouldn't stray too far from this. I would also suggest that I've pulled this information actually directly from a very good project management textbook, Larson. And it's actually specifically about development of Gantt charts, and this aligns quite nicely with what's required for your assignment. Such as when you're developing your Gantt chart, to ensure that you've got a good task identification, which is the name of the task. I mean, I don't want to confuse anybody. Task ID is literally the name of the task, what's needed. So if you had your tasks broke down by channels, such as a social media channel, and then you just have development of maybe paid search ads, Instagram development of paid search ads, Facebook, etc. Development of maybe organic content in terms of distribution of organic content, and so on and so forth. Okay, assignee, very important. Who is going to be responsible for these tasks? All right, so you should have your task ID on the left, specific to each channel. Then you should have the assignee, employee, who's going to be responsible for either beginning this channel, deploying this channel, maintaining this channel, etc. And then a breakdown on that monthly basis as well, okay? And then for the detailed version, possibly even on a weekly basis. And not forgetting the start date, end date of tasks, all right? And then very important, the milestones and review dates as well that are going to be needed, okay? Specific to each task and specific to each channel. Now, if we run into the editorial calendar, what's needed? So when the difference between the editorial calendar and the Gantt chart, because you're probably saying to yourself, I might be putting content up, and should I be showcasing that on my Gantt chart? Yes, you should, but that would be a task in itself. And the editorial calendar is a way of showcasing these elements which I have listed here. So the Gantt chart is task related, essentially, and who's responsible, and the start dates and end dates and milestones. And the editorial calendar is a way of showcasing on a daily basis how the content that you're going to schedule on those channels is going to be distributed to the target audience that you're looking at, all right? And then you're also going to be able to showcase who's responsible for creating that specific content, who is responsible for distributing that specific content, what's the topic title of that content, what's the format of that content. I mean, the format of the content, such as a blog, is it a video, etc. You're really drilling down on details here. And then also the time of creation and distribution, and the content in itself that's been created. So your editorial calendar will showcase on a kind of a more in-depth level specific to content. I mean, like, tasks will not be related specifically to content in some respects, and that's where the Gantt chart will come in. But the editorial calendar is a distribution calendar where you can showcase the format, the channel, who's responsible for the creation, the distribution times, and then what target audience is going out to as well. All right. So I hope that's kind of given some insights into the differences of the Gantt chart, the editorial calendar, best practice to approaching both of them as well. All right, and as I said there, Sean really goes into good details, and hopefully the template I've given you on the Gantt chart and some of the additional information from the project management textbook there aligns quite nicely. It should be a good starting point for you guys to go off and do additional research and develop your charts. Okay, now if we move into the budgeting section. The budgeting section, again, you're going to have to create a budgeting table, and you can do this in Excel, but it needs to go in the main body of your work. This is going to show detailed internal and external costings that are not just kind of on a high level overview, okay? It has to be quite in depth. And you want to show, again, on a weekly or monthly breakdown and by the channel what the costings are going to be specific to your digital marketing strategy. Now, we have an example of a budget table as well in the assignment handbook, and it is specific to each channel as well. So I would recommend checking that out. I would also recommend putting a return on investment specific to each channel, because in the assignment handbook we have it that the return on investment is right down on the bottom. I believe my camera's just gone, so I'm just going to turn it off and turn it back on. As I was saying, the budget table that we have has the return on investment at the bottom, which is fine if you want to use that method, but I would actually advise to use a return on investment specific to each channel, because if you have a channel that is and your key performance indicator for return on investment is purely based on awareness and not monetary value, you might want to differentiate that out from a monetary value specific to one channel, such as maybe an overall conversion of sales generated specifically from a social media ad. All right. So in that respect, I would advise to use an ROI for each channel. Also, what I would say on this is you need to showcase this on a monthly expenditure level. All right, so have your budget table set out where you have your different channels, again, similar to the Gantt chart, your different channels set out, and then the costings now that are related to each channel, and then showcase on a monthly level what the cost is going to be and what the return on investment is going to be as well on a monthly level. Okay, justify the budget allocation costs again. Justify the budget allocation across those channels as well. So why are you putting this kind of money into this specific channel? What's the return on investment going to be? And justify that. Okay. Not forgetting as well to show the monthly expenditure, including staff costs. Now, this can be somewhat of an issue. Students a lot of the time might find it difficult to obtain staff costs. And in that respect, what you should do is firstly ask your company, ask them if they're willing to give you even an approximate figure of what the costings are like based on the staff costs. Okay. Other than that, I would suggest you go on, if you can't achieve that information, go on job websites and actually look at annual salaries of titles that are very specific to the workforce that you have available to you in your marketing resources of the company you've selected, and you can approximate those figures then of the costings of staff applicable to whether it's a job website or maybe it's just a trend report on what people are being paid specific to those different positions. All right, and just reference that information accordingly. But you want to showcase them. So when we've compiled this, we've got our figures, we've got our staff costs, we've got the cost of what it's going to be to implement these channels. Then we need to, and again, not forgetting that if you have a low budget, some of these channels like email marketing can be done on a very low budget. Obviously, devotion of time is in some respects maybe a bit more. And the same will go for search engine optimization. If you're using paid search on social or on Google, it's obviously going to cost you on every ad that gets clicked on. You're going to incur a cost on that. But if you have search engine optimization set up through your website, that's a free method of engaging in organic search results. All right, but it's going to be much more time consuming and much more labor intensive, and it will actually take a lot longer to get that available on search engine results. Where with Google Ads, if you set up with paid methods, I mean, it's minutes before you can actually end up in the search engine results page. All right. Now, one other thing I want to say here is show a return on investment. And I kind of touched upon the fact that some of your ROI might not be based on monetary values. Okay, it could be an awareness campaign, for example, that you want to have, or just on one of your channels. So here I've got an example of how you can actually implement ROI. So the ROI is going to depend on the objectives and channels you use and the metrics to track them, as I previously said. And here's the calculation as an example. So we've got our sales growth minus the marketing cost, okay, cost of sales, for example. And then we can see here that it's the marketing cost would be in this respect, our sales growth 1,000 minus 100, obviously divided by 100. So it's a 900% ROI example. All right, and I've just got an e-commerce campaign, put a bit more clarity on it here as well, based on sales generated. Mike, if you're struggling with it, please do look at that example, and you'll see here the same method applies. It's just more of a kind of consistent way of looking at it specific to an e-commerce campaign. Okay, and not forgetting, can be seen in non-finance terms such as growth of social media followers, email lists, increased web traffic, engagements. All right, you just need to ensure to have those metrics built into your budget as a key performance indicator if it's not a monetary value. All right, and that's why I said it's actually quite good to put a return on investment specific to each channel, because it allows you to separate them out. Okay, now if we move on to the next section, which is the measurement section. And the measurement section, again, is a way of looking at the objectives that you've done. So you'll see there's a lot of synergy with the sections in this. Like you've completed your objective section, and they all do, even though they're all independently allocated for percentages, they do have an element that you're going to be justifying how you create your channels, select your channels, apply the budgetary figures that you have, and also then the measurement of these particular objectives as well. There's a lot of synergy going on, is what I'm trying to say. So look back at your objectives and show how you're going to measure them, all right? And you're going to benchmark the failure or success of each one. How are you going to do that in terms of each channel's impact? And again, ROI, cost of conversions, leads, how are you going to measure how the performance of these channels is? All right. You need to demonstrate the measurement of all channels listed in the channel section, as I said. So you're going to demonstrate those 4 to 5 channels that you selected, your digital marketing channels, and make sure you stay within budget, but still reach targets. Detailed measurements of each channel, objective, and the overall viewpoint are needed as well. Okay. So provide a measurement dashboard to showcase this information. Matt Mooney, actually, who is on the social media stream as well, and he is in the strategy and planning module, which is module 10, and in objectives is actually the topic, goes into details about management dashboards. Could be worth checking out. It might be a good starting point if you need more information on it, you want to do some more additional research. But he goes into a lot of insights on the effectiveness of management dashboard and how to apply them to your organization. Okay, there is also, and I've got a link here for this, there's also a content marketing dashboard on our membership platform, which you might want to check out, and you'll see there that it's specific to content marketing, of course, but nevertheless, it is a, I'm just bear with me one moment, I'm just fixing my camera because I believe it's come back. Yes, it is. This content marketing dashboard specific to content marketing showcases not only KPIs specific to that channel, but also corresponding graphs, which will allow you to see key trends in the performance of those channels as well. Okay, now your management dashboard can be set up again in Microsoft Excel. That's fine, and you could maybe have corresponding graphs as well to showcase trends. And Matt Mooney goes into information on that. One aspect I'd like to talk about on a management dashboard, which can confuse people. You'll see a lot of examples of a management dashboard because what the creation of them is for is to showcase, to management, the measurement of the channels and how they're performing. Now, in our examples that we have, such as the one I mentioned with Matt Mooney, and also in the content marketing dashboard example, you'll see actual against goal figures. You won't have actual figures if you're developing a new channel. All right, so in that respect, you need to put down the objectives that you seek to obtain. So the KPI is based around the objectives that you've highlighted based on unallocated measurement points. All right, so you might want to achieve this objective, which could be, as I said, return on investment. It could be overall conversions specific to that channel. It could be lead generation, but the KPI that you've aligned to that channel needs to be showcased regarding your objective. All right, at specific points on your measurement dashboard, and then you can also have those graphs to showcase what you expect to achieve as well. All right, so I think that probably covers the measurement dashboard. And as I said, Matt Mooney goes into some insights. There's one on content marketing. Editorial Calendar, Sean early gives some good insights. Gantt Chart, I've given the kind of Project Larson, and also the textbook as well, and the template, and the assignment handbook also goes into kind of what's needed for the Gantt Chart. I'm just kind of reverse engineering this here to kind of make sure we've touched upon everything. Budgeting as well. Actually, in budgeting, there is an entire section devoted to budgeting, which is in the strategy and planning stream, and that is in the strategy and planning stream, which is the final stream. And I can't remember the name of the subject matter expert. Sorry, eludes me. It's I can't remember his name at the moment. But nevertheless, it's budget and resources are an entire module set up for that. Okay, so I would highly advise going in and looking at that content. And also, I would advise looking while you're in strategy and planning stream. Saratupa Dimanji has the final stream. In the final stream, has a module devoted to strategy and planning as well. And I think it's a really good starting point to actually go in and look at how, particularly with the previous sections in assignment 2, such as the SWOT analysis, tactics, and tactics are actually mentioned by Saratupa as well. So I would advise really to get in and look at that piece of content as well, and not forgetting whatever channels you pick. To really drill down into our course content and look at whether you've selected email marketing, whether you've selected website optimization, whether you've selected social media, whether you've selected Google Ads, Google Analytics. Okay, really getting in and looking at the insights you can achieve for the justification based on your budgets, and also how you're going to use those channels. All right, really is important. Now, I'm just going to get on to the referencing and appendices. Obviously, Harvard referencing is needed for the purposes of this assignment, and considering that, you would have done this for assignment 1, but nevertheless, we're going to go over it again today because this is obviously assignment 2, part 2. Let's just make sure everybody's on the correct page here, and we can consistently apply Harvard referencing to all your required information. Okay, so you're going to need to have a internal citations, Harvard referencing, of course, with the author or the company that you've obtained the information from, and then the corresponding year. You will also need to have a reference list at the end of your assignment, which will showcase the author or organization, as I said, the corresponding year, the title of the document or title of the web source, and then also the if it was an academic journal, the publication house that's done it, and when you have accessed, the last time you've accessed this piece of information as well. We do have a Harvard Referencing Handbook available on our learning platform. If you have any Harvard referencing questions, please do email me, and I'll be happy to try and get back to you and give you some guidance on this as well. It's actually kind of hard to showcase Harvard referencing in a kind of an audio method, but nevertheless, we'll run through it. If you need to reference your appendices, and of course, you're going to have supporting information on your channels, supporting information from your appendices as well regarding additional Excel files, so on and so forth. You should submit your Excel file obviously as an additional appendices. So if I had appendices A, and that was maybe my primary research that I've conducted via surveys, appendices B might be specific to secondary research that I've conducted, such as Google Analytics information screenshots, and then maybe appendices C could be my Excel spreadsheet, which contains the additional versions of my Gantt chart, my management dashboard, my budget table, etc. So that would be appendices C. So I would reference appendices C, and then a Gantt chart or pestle analysis additional table, and then obviously just have that in the main body of my work. So I would have appendices C, Gantt chart, additional Gantt chart, etc. Okay, and the same will go if I'm doing Harvard referencing. Obviously, you reference the original source of material. So if it was Michael Porter, who's quite influential in digital marketing, it would be Porter 2016, etc. And then the full reference of his academic journal, publication, date that it was the publication was also highlighted, and also when I last accessed the content, and not forgetting the web link as well if it's available. Okay. If it's a direct quotation from a textbook or from an academic journal as well, not to forget to include the page number where applicable as well. But just one more piece of information that I said there is, and this is kind of reflective of the last webinar we conducted, but when you are developing your target personas in assignment 2, you can bring in, of course, the target personas from assignment 1, but you need to bring in all the primary research findings. All right, so if you haven't done that, you need to make sure that you do that. So all the primary research that you conducted for assignment 1, be it surveys, be it interviews, be it focus groups, need to go in your appendices for assignment 2. And any supporting secondary research that was conducted to develop your target personas as well need to also go in the primary, need to also go in the appendices for assignment 2 as well. All right. Okay, guys, so I see we've got some questions, and we're going to get into that now in a moment. But nevertheless, I just want to say to you guys that, because I know a lot of you people are submitting in the not too distant future, please do refer back to the assignment guidelines just to make sure that you've got everything in place, such as what's needed for this assignment in terms of word count, in terms of aesthetics. What does the paragraph spacing, 1.5, what kind of font should I be using? All this information is in the handbook. Okay, just to make sure that you're on the right track. Course code that you need to put on the front page of your assignment, PG 3.0. Okay, that's the course code you need to use. PG 3.0. So please do look at the handbook for anything that's needed in those respects. The assignment academic writing guidelines, Harvard referencing, also available on our on your learning support hub. DMI membership platform, maybe there's some areas you want to explore there, just to kind of particularly with the content marketing dashboard, might be worth investigating, or other areas specific to the channels that you've selected. Use the class form if you need to. I'm on there as much as I can be, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Not forgetting, of course, the course content, which is really crucial to assignment 2, particularly with channels, strategy and planning as well, budget and resources. The final thing I'd say is, of course, you can message us on email directly, assignmentqueries@digitalmarketinginstitute.zendesk.com, and our support team will try and get back to you as quickly as possible. But now I'm just going to bring it into the questions. So if you just bear with me a moment, I'm just going to load up today's questions. All right, so we have a couple of questions here. And one is, for a startup For the digital marketing plan, do you think it will be best to create the plan for the timeline starting January next year? You can do this, absolutely. I mean, I would advise usually to start the digital marketing plan as soon as the assignment is effectively to be submitted, and I would usually have the digital marketing plan ready to go at that point. But if your company has given you budgets for the next year that are beginning in January, for example, they've given you monetary annual budget figures of the digital marketing resources and budget that they have for the year for 6 to 9 months beginning in January, that's absolutely fine. Just be sure to state this in your executive summary, and also when you're developing your timelines as well, that this is when it's beginning. All right, for a startup, all the channels chosen will need to be developed. In this case, for a startup, all the channels chosen will need to be developed. In this case, should I put the targets only? Yes, put your objective target KPIs, because you won't have actual real-time figures that are operational on these channels. And if you're developing them all conceptually and showcasing with mock-up designs, how these channels are going to work and how they're going to be optimized and the justification of how they're going to be selected in the first place, you can showcase on your management dashboard the objective target key performance indicators, and that's fine. All right, and I have one more question here for keyword or AdWords, the cost per click value for budgeting. Where do we find the average value of it, and how do we reference it? Okay, so you're looking for keyword, so Google Ads, and you're looking for the cost per click for budgeting. What you would need to do in that respect is when you set up, and you can do this in Google Sandbox, you'll set up your Google Ads, all right? And before you initialize and actually set up the ad for distribution, you will see figures such as how much it's going to cost and the average return it's going to give you in terms of cost per clicks and CTR as well, so click-through rates as well, and the budget that it's going to cost allocated to the region and the demographics and the keywords that you've selected as well. All right, so go into the Sandbox accounts and you can create ads, and you'll see all the relative budgeting information regarding cost per clicks and how much it's going to cost for the budgeting regarding the distribution of the location and the demographics that you've selected as well. Okay. If you're still struggling with that, please do let me know. I'll be happy to run through a bit more on those channels with you at some point if you drop me an email. But alternatively, I would say that we have some good walkthroughs on Google Sandbox accounts. One, how to set it up, and then obviously Carl Mellon goes into vast details on Google Ads in that channel. And so same with the course content, you will gain some great insights on how to pull key performance indicators and develop those channels as well. All right, so guys, that wraps it up. I just have one other piece of very important information that I need to say for anyone who is submitting their assignment this Friday. And if anyone's looking at this webinar, if anybody's looking at this webinar retrospectively, I'm talking about the October 10th, I believe, October 10th or 11th. Just bear with me. Just want to make sure my dates are correct. This would be someone submitting on the 11th, yes. Okay, so anyone who's submitting on the 11th of October, currently with Turnitin, we're going to need you to submit it. We're having an update issue with Turnitin. So if you can submit your assignment to the following email address, assignmentsubmission@digitalmarketinginstitute.zendesk.com, with all the documentation, so your assignment and then any supporting, be it Excel files or supporting appendices information in different documents, and just ensure to place your name on those documents as well, and we'll upload them for you, and then we'll email you to let you know that we've successfully emailed them onto the Turnitin network, and it's all ready to go, and everything is happening in the correct manner as well. All right, so if you have any issues with uploading on your learning platform, this is the email address you need to use, assignmentsubmission@digitalmarketinginstitute.zendesk.com. Let us know that let us know that you've tried it maybe on the learning platform as well, and we'll submit it for you on your behalf with all your documentation. It's just good practice to put your name on all documents so that we know exactly where it is, and we will message you back to let you know that everything's okay. But this is the website that you need to, or this is the web link you need to use if you're having difficulties with the learning platform. Okay, guys, so that sums up today's webinar. I hope it's been kind of insightful, and I wish anyone who's submitting in the not too distant future the best of luck on their assignments. And you will have access, obviously, to the learning platform for an additional time to get your results as well. And results are usually issued within 6 weeks after the submission date as well. All right, so you'll get your results and feedback approximately 6 weeks after you submit. Okay guys, so that concludes today's webinar. Again, I hope you have a great day, and I wish you the best of luck while you're engaging in course content and while you put the finishing touches on the final section of assignment 2. Thank you.